We got a lot to cover in this review, as this is going to be a double episode review covering episodes 14 and 15. So I hope y'all ready, because this is going to be a long one. All right, roll tape. What up, everybody? It's your boy K-Ray06 back here on K-RayTV, and we are here for another All-American episode recap review. As always, I'm going to go through the episodes, giving my input on the scenes, on the character, the drama, the plot, etc. And then I'm going to pull it all together, so we can talk about that good old list, the good, the bad, and the downright disrespectfulness of it all. If this is your first time here, then I appreciate you. And if you want to join the best squad on the net as we're on our way to that 10K state, then go ahead and show some love by hitting that sub, click that noti bell, hit all, and share like you care. It is definitely appreciated, and it goes a long way. Also, shout out to Noti Gang. I'll be seeing y'all. Represent. Now, that business taken care of, let's get into the review. All-American episode 14, titled Ready or Not, is a lighter episode compared to the last few. The show starts off with Spencer in the gym preparing for the upcoming game against Westlake, and in comes Jordan ready to train secretly, in that Spencer 2.0 storyline. Spencer immediately questions him about seeing his therapist. After joking, Jordan admits to seeing him, and old angry Spencer cools down and said, "Let's get it." This scene was funny because I felt an inch of deceit coming from Jordan. However, as someone who went to therapy and goes through therapy, you can't really Google a personal tailor-made session. So Jordan wouldn't know what would have went on in the session. So that shows me he at least went to one. I can't say that he went twice, but I'll at least give him once. But I'll definitely keep my eye on him for now. We jump over to the Bakers, as Billy is trying to wow the women in his life with his easy bake oven meals. Like, he made Laura and Liv some to-go breakfast and thanked Liv for handling herself with grace all week. Because the last episode ended with a cop trying to scare Liv, Billy asked his dad Willie to drive Liv to school, as he wasn't comfortable with her driving herself just yet. Afterwards, her Laura mom pops up at the door and embraces her daughter with a good old hug, and the All-American logo comes onto the screen, making this so far the fastest intro on the season so far. Next, we jump over to Spencer's house, as Spencer is looking at a list on the fridge that says joy, pain, sunshine, and rain. And this is like the main plot of the story, and I'll explain the meaning of the words later. But the list was put together by Sean, Coop, and Spencer when they were 10 years old. I love seeing Sean here, as he seemed to have become like a distant memory on the show, and it made me just miss his character even more. Like, I would have loved to see how he would have been present day. Jumping back over to the Bakers, we get to see Laura and her mom, and they're having this interesting conversation. Not the one about best friends having great sex, but about the legal system. Laura moms feels like Laura's viewpoint on the system is skewed a little. Laura believes in the justice system, and her mom says there's no justice involved in it. It's the legal system. And this is an interesting point because I can see both sides of it. Like, small wins are wins no matter the size. And if Laura can get one with the indictment, then that's a victory to be notated. However, history also shows that just because you play the right hand doesn't mean justice will be served. So I love the dialogue in this scene, and I appreciate the writers for throwing that in there. Moving on, we jump back over to Crenshaw, as Spencer's having an interview with the recruiter, and he is not here for it at all. Because Spencer hasn't been given any offers, he doesn't really care about the recruiting process. To offset that feeling, instead he wants to focus on the game, or the upcoming game with Westlake. Immediately after Spencer leaves, Jabari comes and informs Billy that Chris's grandma has passed, so they lost their QB1 before the game has started. And due to this, Billy is forced to bring up the JV QB named Cash and ask the assistant coach to get him up to speed. We move on to Coop, Preach, and Layla. And Preach is loving his new role as a manager, and he's looking to beef up that resume by adding a brand ambassador to the list of things he's done. Layla is annoyed that they started the meeting without her. Preach is sitting around not caring a word about her feelings, nor answering the phone for a random caller, all the while Coop is sitting there not really here for it at all either. Tomorrow is Coop's 18th birthday, hinted by the balloons and flowers that was sent from a patient who still hasn't came back yet. Layla wondered why Coop didn't tell her about her birthday, but things have changed. Like, Patience is still torn, so she's not there. Sean has passed away. He's not there. And Luther X, Spencer Malcolm, and her are still on the outs with one another. So she really didn't want to be celebrated and would rather focus on her GED. You see the parallels there? Like, Spencer would rather focus on the game. She would rather focus on the GED instead of facing a problem. You know, but I digress. Coop leaves, but Layla does not want to let Coop go uncelebrated, and Preach agrees to throw a party as long as he's involved in it because he don't want her having Coop in a tiara or some nonsense. His words. Next, we jump over to Crenshaw, and Spencer is running plays with a new QB in Jabari. And he is pushing this kid pretty hard, which Jabari notes that they already did a whole practice early doing the same exact thing, but Luther X is not hearing it. Luckily, Billy pulls up and reminds Spencer that he has a meeting with Coach Smart, and that was enough practice for today. Spencer heads over to the coach, and I was like, oh, snaps, that's my boy, Manny Montana. He played in another show I watched called Graceland, so I was hyped. However, I wasn't the only one geeking out from his arrival because I seen some of y'all posting comments on y'all socials, and boy, y'all wanted to leave the door all the way open for Manny, huh? Oh, snap, y'all better cut it out before you invite all them muskrats, fleas, and dogs over there trying to catch you a Manny, all right? Anywho, as the meeting starts, the coach goes on about the new facilities and where the money going, etc., and Spencer, again, is not here for it. Manny quickly catches on, decides to change the subject and be real with Spencer and let him know, he was watching Spencer in his game and he noticed that the vibe was off between Spencer and his team and that football is a child's game. And at the end of the day, sometimes you just need to go out there and have fun. Spencer resonates with this because at first, he had the nerve to say kids nowadays are different, referring to like Chase and Jabari. And Coach Smart had to laugh, like, right, ain't you only 1 year older than him? Like, Luther X, calm down, sir, calm down. But I love this moment because the coach was willing to drop the curtain and talk about raising his two sisters and, just doing what had to be done. And that's the same thing that Spencer did, with Dylan. And that was like their little instant connection. And I was like, yo, they need to bring this man back and have Spencer go where he go because UCLA is like an afterthought for me at this moment. Like, he need to go with Manny. Like, do y'all feel me or am I tripping? We jump over to Jordan and as Grandpa Willie comes in to get this food for Liv. And I'm actually glad Willie is back. But the real reason for this scene was to set up a reveal for later on in the episode. Jordan tells Willie that him and Simone are still going to get married, and when questioned about the annulment, Jordan says either you find your soulmate early or late in life, but he found his early. So he wants to get married so he can show the world that sentiment. And while talking, you can see that Willie's face and spirit change as he too knew the feeling, as he mirrored those emotions and feelings for his late wife Mary. And before it got too rough for him, he grabbed his food and leave. And I love this scene because we finally get to see little layers from Willie. And Jordan was over there trying to sound grown at the table over there talking about soulmates, It just felt good to focus on something else instead of the adult drama. Speaking of, how do y'all feel about soulmates? Do y'all believe in them? Yes, no, and why? Drop that in the comments below. I want to hear y'all thoughts. Next, we hop over to Luther X as Preach approaches him about throwing a party for Coop. About him and that chick named Layla throwing a party for Coop. That chick. You know her name. Preach acting ignorant right now. But he asked Spencer, since Spencer and Coop go back like 4 flats on the Cadillac, but Spencer is acting like Coop is dead to him. But earlier he was looking like he wanted to cry just staring at the list. Like if they don't stop this storyline beef, like time now or better yet yesterday, like come on, I'm over it. I'm over it. It shouldn't take a speech about real friends from Preach to get Spencer Arcoop to wake up. Like, and to make matters worse, he had the list with him. Like, I can't, man. I can't. Like, season 3 Spencer has been on one, and I can't. Spencer is interrupted by Dane and Cam, but this time, Cam is coming with a little different energy as Dane is egging on Spencer. Cam doesn't condone Dane's actions, but Spencer is not hearing it because Cam didn't kneel for Tamika. The whole team didn't, but specifically Cam didn't make his own decision to kneel by himself. And Spencer was not having it. He didn't want to hear no excuses Cam had. He was like, you should have done it even if it was by yourself. So nah, see me on the field. And I was glad to get the next scene, actually, with Coop at Sean's grave. Like stated before, Sean seemed like the afterthought. I know Coop didn't get over his death yet. Like, she was on the phone with him when he passed. So I know this birthday, this specific one was hurting her in particular because she needing her family right now. And you can see that this day, she can't really fight the funk. She can't hide like she okay and unbothered. And it clearly shows. Then we get another flashback and I'm like, yo, I miss Sean. Like, this episode should be called I Miss Sean because these flashbacks is killing me, yo. We jump back over to the Bakers, and this scene had me take it back, y'all. Like, bruh, A.G. Hollins showed up to let Laura know that they moving forward with the indictment on the 2 police officers. But it doesn't stop there, because Liv broke the law. The police union wants to indict Liv as well. And when Laura said, you expect me to believe that this was in payback? I was like, Laura, it's the law. You the DA, right? You sounded like your daughter. Like, it's the law. Your daughter broke it. On a national scale. On a national case, of course. Hell, she should have already been thrown under the jail. But because of her privilege, she getting baked cookies and car rides instead of commissary and phone calls. Like, stop it, please. Because y'all know, I cannot. Due to this, Laura has the option to either step down as the DA, which will cause them to drop the charges on her daughter. And of course, she's willing to do so like I predicted in earlier videos. And Liv was in the back and she heard this and she immediately calls Jordan. And she said that she knew that stealing the video was a big deal, but she never thought it would cost Laura her career. And I'm like, where y'all be pulling these lines from? Like, you didn't think about anyone else at all, which is why you never considered the fact that Laura was going to fall on a sword for you. Then she says she has to fix this. No, baby girl, you have done enough. Like, Jordan disagrees and tells her that Laura loves them and that she will always put them first because that's what family does. And Liv gets this stupid look on her face. You know, the one when she's not listening, she's about to make things worse yet again. And she calls Shelby to commit on trying to fix things. Like, never ever once thought about trying to fix her own issues. But yeah, you about to try to fix some legal matters that you had never had a business to be involved in the first place? I can't. Now, you and Spencer this season, like, y'all can both go and have several seats wherever Ashy and Vaseline at and get popcorn on the way because I need y'all to be comfortable. Like, Liz's big plan was to turn herself in and becoming a felon at 17. Like, she really trying to live that thug life for real, huh? Like, the best thing that she said in her conversation with her mom is that the system isn't going anywhere and it needs Laura in it to do what needs to be done. The system you talk about burning down, you finally realize it ain't going anywhere, so having good people in there trying to fight the good fight was worth it. But they quickly ruined that moment by Laura throwing a bow on Liv's actions, talking about it took guts and convictions to do what she did. Writers, NK, come have a chat with me real quick. I know y'all like giving Liv passes, but over here on K-RayTV, we call it straight down the middle, like boo or not. We calling a flag on that play. Like, let's do a quick reminder, a quick recap for those who forgot. Due to the breaks and whatnot, Liv, who relapsed, crashed into a parked car and tried to get Spencer to lie to her and take the blame. Then he wanted him to lie to her parents. Then went on a tear around town trying to find her sponsor, who she ain't talked to in like 8 ages, to get her to lie for her. Only to come back to try to get Spencer to hold her hand as she begs for more time to not get sent to rehab. Then, feeling guilty about herself and her circumstance, went into fix-it mode and took on Tamika's murder, making it about herself and not Tamika. Slighted her mother the entire time, stole official evidence and government property, uploaded it, had no ounce or remorse about it, made it a black issue, a race issue within the 4 walls that she lives in, says she doesn't regret anything, and got let off by a dusty speech she wrote that Layla read. She is a 17-year-old child who broke the law, made her mom feel like a racist or a supporter of, ruined her case, and about to get her kicked out her job. Yet we are applauding that? Why? Because it's Liv. Why? Because Black Lives Matter was used as the catalyst? Liv was disrespectful and wrong, and her wrongdoings like to get swept under the rug. But nah, I'm not over here. Sorry, ex-boo. We not riding with that nonsense, alright? Sorry for the rant. Let's move on. Laura mom comes downstairs and says after speaking to one of her police union buddies, she found a loophole in the case. And if you expected a real outcome of this, I'm sorry. You knew some Hollywood magic was going to get sprinkled here. Like, let's take a deep breath as we jump over to Crenshaw versus Westlake. Out the gate, Spencer gets the first touchdown and he is acting ignorant. Like, after so many like conversations and speeches he had thus far, he still ain't getting it. Like, still, after so many speeches and conversations he had this episode alone, he lets his team know whatever he do, give him the ball. If they have doubts, give him the ball. Hop on the back so he can give them the win. And I'm like, sir, you pretty sure of yourself, huh? Guess you the only player on the team, huh? Why don't you be great by yourself? Since you the Superman, you can do it all. Like, come on, man. Like, because of this, like, you can tell, like, the vibe and the energy is off, and Crenshaw starts to lose. And then Spencer, still not thinking, wants to switch out the QB cash and play the QB spot to himself. Like, this man is on a live tear, thus making Billy get in his neck saying, next time you open your mouth, it better be the big up cash. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. But the damage was already done as Cash goes out there and fumbles the ball, and then Spencer tries to pick him up, and Cash like, bro, I don't want none of that. Like, as he is now not Team Luther X, and I ain't either. Then we head into the locker room, and you can see everybody is down, and you know, all the morale is low. And because of this, you know, we got insert another Spencer speech. And Spencer comes out there and gives another speech and blames himself. And then quotes Coach Smart saying that football's a child's game, and he wants to play the game like he did when he was a kid, you know, and have some fun. And he tried to rally everybody together, and after a while, they agreed. While I was the only one like, sir, you said a whole lot except sorry to Cash for riding him that hard, making him feel like dirt in the game and outside the game and on the sideline, and period. Like, ain't no speech equal to apology, Spencer, Luther, Malcolm, X. Like, we probably would have lost that game messing with me. For real. They end up going back out to the field, and then they started to gel as there's just one touchdown after another until they get the win with a 27-21 score. And Spencer also lays out, dang, bow, cracks him real hard, you know, to give him one back for, you know, taking Jordan out of his game for now. And I don't know if it's because of the pandemic, but the games don't feel like they used to feel. Like, it seemed like they lost their flair. It's flair to me. Like, am I the only one, or am I tripping? Finally, we get another Coop moment as Preach teaches her takes her to her surprise birthday party. And I'm glad they did this because I know Coop was feeling hurt around this time without Spencer and whatnot. But let's pin the tail on that for right now. We finally get a Willie sighting as he skipped the game, which he said he was going to go to. And so Jordan became worried. So him and Billy went to go see him. Willie has been missing his late wife. And after his talk with Jordan, he started spiraling. Billy, like a child, does not want to hear it. And he spouts the same crap like about him sending his mother away. But this time, Willie speaks up and says, because she asked me to. You know, she didn't want her son or her husband to watch her die. So she asked him to send her to hospice and then promised her to get Billy to the NFL. And this made a lot of sense. And it explains a lot. Like, Willie still hasn't grieved for his wife. And this is his first, and I believe this is his first time actually speaking it openly to anyone. Like, because of that, he put all his energy into getting Billy to the NFL, thus sacrificing Billy's needs in the process, which he apologized for now. And I feel like this is why he has stuck around due to the guilt he has on the part he played or didn't play in Billy's life. Billy almost ruined the moment and said, I wish you have told me. Like, sir, like every time he mentioned your mom, you shut it down and cut him off. Like, let's not, Billy. Not today. Not today. Jordan reads the room and asks them to tell him more about his grandma, and I loved it. Like, this show seems to usually want to focus on the adult drama with these kids, yet the real moments they try to skip over. So I like that here. And it seemed like after 2 sessions of counseling, it seemed like Jordan is doing better than most characters on the show. Like, he insisted on going to see Willie because he was worried. He got Willie to open up about Mary, and he gave Willie and Billy a chance to connect and grieve through happy memories. And I loved it. I loved it. Now we jump back to Coop's party, and Carrie, being shady, is still ignoring missed calls from her parents, who she said hasn't reached out to her since being released. And I'm not feeling her and her ulterior motives. Like, I know she up to something, just can't put a finger on it just now. Like, I do feel this old let's be honest vibe with her, with Layla, but we'll see as the show moves on because I know she up to something. We jump back over to the Bakers to learn that Laura has stepped down as DA as she does not want to be a part of a system that uses kids as leverage or let murderers go. She says she'll find another way to fight, and I'm like, where? Where, girl? Go get your job back. Because it's going to become even harder for you, especially with your thug life daughter, action forever staple to you. But you know, they'll find some way. But I digress. We jump back over to Coop's party and we finally get Patience back. She is finally back from tour and I am happy. I'm glad to see it. It feels like the gang is getting back together again, and she immediately lets Coop know that all this happened, yes, with the help of Lil Jewel, but it was driven by Spencer. Spencer is the one that put this together for her and had a gift for her, and the gift contained all the things that they said that was on the list. Then we jump into a flashback which explains everything about the list. Voting represented joy, tattoos represented pain, skydive represented sunshine, and strip clubs represented rain. Like, whoever came up with that list, kudos to you, because that was fire, and that's something kids do. But the real takeaway from this flashback is when they talked about what they want to be when they turn 18. Like, Coop wants to be a rapper. Spencer said he'll be playing football at UCLA. But Sean is the one that broke my heart, y'all. He said he wants to be alive. Like, that hit home. Like, oh my gosh, that hit home. Like, I lost quite a few friends growing up. So I was like, yo, if y'all only knew. If y'all only knew. But to lighten the mood, Sean says he was just playing, like, as he and his brother were going to go to SC and hoop. And I'm glad they lightened the mood because I was like, yo. I was like, take me now. Take me now. As the flashback ends, Spencer peeks his head in to watch Coop, but he never enters the party but instead leaves to let her have her night without drama or issues. And I respect that decision. Even though I would have liked for him to go inside, I'm not mad at him for not doing so. Like, sometimes it's a little thing that counts, so I can dig it. Spencer goes home to find Coach Smart waiting on him, and the offer he was looking for, he finally gets one. It was another real moment as Grace is standing there all ecstatic and Spencer is in disbelief. And again, I want Spencer to go. Like, forget UCLA. Follow those who can take you somewhere and won't let you compromise yourself along the way. Like, this is who the coach is for Spencer. Toledo State is where he should go if it was up to me. Like, what y'all think? And we end the show with Preach getting rolled up on in the middle of the night by some little girl claiming to be his daughter, and the credits roll, and that concludes this episode. It wasn't my favorite episode, but it was a good break for social matters they tried to tackle for the last few episodes, and I was okay with that. Now, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the downright disrespectful. The good, Jordan. He frequents his list from time to time. I think he was great this episode. He put others' cares before his own. He really showed growth, and I loved it. While others did some great things, Jordan is the one I want to highlight this week. So I am interested in seeing who y'all put here. The bad, the breaks. I get it. To even record, you need to take breaks due to the pandemic. However, it showed the cracks in the show this season. Like, a lot of people lost their excitement to watch it. The casting suffered because they had to pick and choose who can be there on which episodes. The football games are lackluster. And we have teens and adult drama too often to where we forget they're either children. And the parents, like, do they even keep up with their kids? Lastly, the story has so many plot holes or so many unused or unfinished plot points. Like, I would love to just get some dancing, some TikTok videos, some laughing, some party, Beverly, something. Like, can we just be reminded that they're kids? It's definitely needed. And hopefully the homecoming episode or something will deliver that. Now, the downright disrespectful. Spencer and Coop's prolonged beef. I'm over it. It doesn't make sense. They are too close to consider the other ops. Like, Coop made a video to remind Spencer who he was, came to Mama Grace's party, etc. Like, why are you acting like you couldn't give Preach any ideas about Coop's party, knowing you miss her? Like, Spencer, to me, has lost his way this season. Like, he is all over the place, just like his counterpart Liv, but I believe that is due to his compass not being there, which is Coop. Remember, the first 2 seasons, Coop always kept him grounded, and him her. So it shows when they're not in each other's life, they struggle. And I'm just ready for them to reconnect like ASAP. Like, I'm tired of it. And also Spencer, like, for how he acted the entire episode, like treating his team like they were a burden, like reminiscing of the episodes when he first went to Beverly. Again, season 3 Spencer, I am not a fan of him, and I hope he finds that balance again. One more thing. If that kid is Preach's, the whole writer's room is going to make this list. Like, please tell me we not doing this, especially if that is his and Mo's child, or of her own doing. Like, nah. Like we not going to speak on why this kid was even out by herself with no one running up on a grown man from the streets in Crenshaw. We're not going to even speak on that. We're not going to even speak on someone getting that child dressed, pressing her hair, and even sending her out in the dark night looking for her supposed daddy. Did I mention who is from the streets while in Crenshaw? Like, we not. We not, because I can't. I can't. So now that we concluded that, let's hop into episode 15. This is another one of those lighthearted episodes, and I actually appreciate it. Like, it's time to see kids be kids and adults let down their hair. And with that said, let's get right into it. Episode 15, titled After Hours, picks up with Spencer and light-skinned Swollenness, aka Franklin, in the coach's office going at each other's neck. Like, I'm talking about back, forth, and forth. Because of the bickering, Billy tells them they gotta hang out with each other or they ain't playing. Simple as that. Both were unhappy about it, but they both had to agree, and the All-American logo comes onto the screen. Then we jump over to the baker's, and Liv brings out some cheese puffs fresh out of the oven, and guess who it is for? Guess. Yes. Dusty Lay. Yeah, I made up a name. Dusty Lay. Apparently, they're still pushing this best friend angle with Liv and Layla. So Layla's coming over later to hang out. Liv, deep breaths, K-Ray, deep breaths. Liv literally says, let me be excited about this. To Jordan, this is what she said. Let me be excited about this. Layla and I are still trying to figure out a way to becoming best friends again. I nearly screamed, y'all. We not doing this again. Like, ain't no parallel universe where y'all was actually friends. Like, come on. I'm glad the direction was changed when Jordan brought up Laura, who is now jobless, not having anywhere to be nor go, so it's most likely she's going to hang up at the house with the kids. Liv, not having that, suggested she should reach out to Mama Grace, as she works at a courthouse and has ties to the community that Laura is trying to help and reach. Laura knows that it'd be kind of weird, considering that Grace slept with her mains and whatnot, but Liv urges Laura, and Laura notates like, Liv, you really want her out the house, huh? So she messages Grace, and we shoot right over to the James residence, as Grace is just as thrown off by getting a message from Laura as well about her job and wanting to talk over drinks. She thinks it is a little too weird as well, considering she slept with a man's and all. And the theme is kind of really being painted for this episode thus far. Like, this episode is basically going to be like a pairing of enemies or frenemies as they take their journey to understanding one another. Like, we got Spencer and Fausto, we got Laura and Grace, we got Liv and Layla, hell, we got Jordan and Asher, and later Billy and Carter. I'm really not here for half of them, but I digress. We jump back over to the Bakers, and Layla arrives, and she didn't come alone. Like, Carrie seemed to weasel her way onto the trip, and that's already like strike two for me on this episode. Like, we already striking out early. Like, how you show up to someone's house, not with a gift, not with food, hell, not even a partridge in a pear tree. Nope, you show up with a whole, not a half one, a whole uninvited person. Carrie, when this girl cut herself to stay in rehab, I knew back then she wasn't worth two dead flies. So my mind is boggled as to why she is here now. But let's not drift too far off the course. We can talk about more about her later. Next, we get Carter visiting Billy back at Crenshaw. And usually I'm not here for soap opera villain, but I have to say, those two make a good team. Like, Billy offers Carter a drink, and Billy jokes about making him a sweeter, toned down version of the beverage, a chocolate choo-choo to be exact. And I knew right then and there, like, they time on screen, I wasn't going to be mad at it. Like, I was not going to be mad at it. Like, Carter said he didn't want to drink Billy under the table, and Billy sees it as a challenge, and thus their journey begins. Hopping over to the Bakers, we get this forced friendship girls' night, and Liv brings over the cheese puffs, aka the wedding food, as Layla and her reminisce over past memories, and they start getting into character, talking all bougie one another. But misdemeanor Carrie, she had different plans. She had other plans for the night, and she declined the cheese puff, saying she on a strict regimen, a diet that does not include frozen foods. And then she didn't stop there, y'all. She went ahead and spoiled the movie Us, the movie that they apparently been like avoiding spoilers for years about, so they can like watch it together. And then 10 seconds, all that was thrown to the wayside. Like, Carrie struck out. She knew what she was doing. And because of that, Liv got mad, and Layla went to Liv and asked her to go easy on Carrie because, she's having a rough time. And I'm sitting there thinking like, she could have been at the house, because she wasn't invited in the first place. But, that's just me. We hop on over to Slauson Cafe as Grace and Laura awkwardly try to have conversation over wine. And they find a common bond, though, when they spot Denise at the bar talking it up with this guy. Thirsty Denise is what they call her. And I was wondering, though, like, for Grace being so poised and so all-knowing and whatnot, you would think knocking another woman from her community would be something that she wouldn't take part of. But hey, I guess, once you get a reputation, sometimes that's all people see when they look at you. Jumping back over to the boys, Billy and Carter, they over there drinking it up. And Billy asks Carter why hasn't he punched him in the face, since he looks at him like he want to punch him in the face. And Carter did admit that, sometimes when he do look at him, he want to punch him. But then Carter jokes and says, he ain't the same kid from a long time ago. The man ain't grown up, a little yoke on him. And he said he knows his way around the gym. Thus, this leads to a lifting contest, as Carter says he can bench 215 pounds, without stretching, by the way. And Billy goes him into doing it. And he hits it. But, for a regular guy, that's nothing. Because, Billy's been in the NFL. And, he outbenches him easily, doing 15 reps of 235. Just boom, boom, boom. Without stretching, by the way. And I love that scene because it made Carter feel some type of way. Like what ain't you good at? And what you mean, regular guy? And I'm liking their on-screen chemistry. I feel it. We do get a quick scene of light-skinned swollenness giving a little attitude to Jordan and Asher as he waits for Spencer to get off work. But Jordan, since he wanted to stay and play pool, suggested that, they go ahead and play a game with a wager, of course, which will fulfill the request of Billy of them actually hanging out instead of lying. And they agree. We jump back over to Slauson Cafe, and now it seems like the elephant in the room is well sedated as the girls become more comfortable talking about Denise and her date. The guy ends up leaving, which leads Denise to spotting Grace and Laura, which Grace was trying to avoid, getting her little ninja on. And I knew then, I was like, yeah, this is where it's going to turn up at, because Denise is going to bring that energy. She going to bring that flair to the group and kind of loosen them up even further. So I was like, okay, I'm happy that she spotted her. We jump back over to the fake friendship, that I don't care for. And Liv and Carrie talk about how they were there for each other during rehab. And Liv notates that, which Carrie then takes the opportunity to create a wedge in a friendship that never was, as she spills some tea saying that, shocking that how much they care for each other with all that has transpired, with stolen boyfriends and drunken outbursts. And this catches Layla and Liv off guard. Instead of comforting or going after Liv, Layla is more concerned with talking to Carrie, saying I told you in this confidence, why you say that? Which Carrie gets up and was like, all right, I'll go apologize. And I'm like, bruh, See, this is more reason why I'm like, get her out your house and out your life, please. And out this dusty storyline. Do I really need to comment on this? No. Moving on. We jump back over to Grace and Laura as Denise makes her way over there with 3 shots. Not 1, not 2, 3 shots. And the funny part is, when she asked them what this was, she was like, is this the battle of Billy X's? I died because, hey, she's spitting facts. Because of that, Grace takes a shot and Denise budges her way and sits down with the group. And Denise tells them that her psychic says she would get the connection she was looking for, but she thought it was going to be with a man. But I knew it was actually going to be friendship. I'm like, once they sat down, I'm like, yeah, this chemistry bubbling. They going to be cool. So they end up deciding to help her find a man, but they're going to need more shots because it's going to be a long night. And I wasn't mad about that. Next, we jump over to Spencer and light-skinned Swollenness going at it again. Like, Spencer was over there chalking his cue like he was an old school shoe polisher or something. Like, if you don't stop, sir, you don't stop. Yeah, boy, he was acting like his pool stick was ready to hop in the Olympics or something and do some floor work. Like, calm down, my guy. You hit the dang ball. And Frosto was over it. He was not here for it. He was like, bruh, hit the ball already. And then Spencer goes and misses the shot and loses the game. And they start arguing again. And even though I didn't care for their group, I was just happy that they was doing some regular stuff. Like, because you know, if you're a competitive person or if you playing the game when there's money on the line and somebody lose and they lose for you, you talking stuff and you wound up all the way tight. So I liked it. But Jordan was like, yo, let's go ahead and do double or nothing. And it was like, let's rack up and let's get another game in. Like, Jordan over there trying to wipe them clean. Like, your parents is rich. Like, stay taking these po folk money. But hey, ain't no rules in hustling, right? Back at Crenshaw, we see Carter and they taking a look at his high school picture and that man was dressed like Stefan Urkel, not Urkel, Urkel, the cool one. And they laugh about his style and whatnot. And this prompts a conversation about Billy's mom. And Carter said that was his favorite teacher. And because he didn't have friends, she let him hang out with her during lunch. And that caught Billy by surprise because he didn't know that. He didn't know that at all. And at that point, I was like, yeah, they're going to make it. They're going to make it because Billy is very sensitive about his mom. So her bringing Carter in and looking out for him and actually being the reason why he's a teacher, that was the final part to soften Billy up when it came to Carter. So they're going to make it. We jump back over to Denise as they're going through a list of guys by pointing them out to her. And as they point them out, she keeps swiping left. She's like, nah, not good enough. Look at his hair. Nah, raggedy. Look at him walking on his toes. Nah, look at him. Too small hands, wedding ring. Nah, like, she was Xing them out. Like, have y'all seen that old MTV show called Next? Like, when they come off the bus, like, that's what she was doing. Like, next. Like, she was crossing them out. But some of them pics, though, like, I was like, y'all need to stop. Like, the first dude up, like, she said help her pick a dude, not reaching to the bottom of the same trash can that Liv dug into when she was looking for that water bottle to find a man. Like, do better, Grace. Do better. Next, we go back to the group with Spencer as they lose yet another game. And Frosto got beat so bad, he thought he got hustled. And he thought Spencer was in on him. And because of that, he walks out. He tight. He extra, man. He big mad. And Jordan and Asher poke fun at Spencer, saying that, Frosto reminds them of the season 1 Spencer by the way he acts and how the way he sees him and how he got this chip on his shoulder, etc. And it seems like Spencer is the only one that can't catch that or relate to it until told. Like, it's funny because in season 1, he came in as a guy who could read people and read the situation. But now it seems like the light bulb never comes on until someone says something to him. But maybe he's too close to the situation and that's dulling his vision, I just think Spencer tripped. But that's just me. Anywho, Spencer goes outside to find Swollenness. And Swollenness is mad because, he lost $50. And $50 ain't, something simple to him. That is a lot amount of money because he could have helped his mom and his sister. And, $50 can go a long way if you use it right. And he didn't have the money to make the bet in the first place. And because he didn't tuck his pride, he decided to walk out rather than let anyone know that he couldn't afford it. Spencer, then seeing the man in the mirror, was like, oh, I remember those. I remember that Spencer. Like, now it fully set in, and he see that they're more alike than different. And he finally decides to stop this invisible beef, and he decides to help them by getting their money back, by getting along, by playing as a team. Jumping back over to the cafe, Denise done shot down every suggestion that the women then threw her away. And They don't know what to do or who to pick anymore, but Denise lets them know that her priorities have changed, which is why she is so selective now. Not picky, selective of whom she wants to date. After her sister passed, Denise took in her 2 girls. So she is not only raising her daughter Nani, but 2 more kids, making that 3 kids at home. And she is looking for someone who is going to stick around and loves the idea of the whole package of her and the girls, not just her. Not no one night stand or sex or anything like that. She wants the whole package. And this shocks Grace, as she didn't know any of this, which is why I say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, nor a person from what you may have heard. And this is amazing character development for Denise, and I loved it. Laura agrees and says, none of these dudes are worthy of her after hearing that. Like, you ain't talking to these scrubs. And Grace comes in and backs her up and says, especially that toe walker. I'm going to get off that man toe. Then Grace makes a toast, like, to exceptional women, saying, like, they're no longer wasting time on mediocre men. I'm like, okay, you ain't got to disrespect all the men, okay. We jump back over to Billy and Carter for a quick scene as Carter learns Billy dated Grace back in the day. He tight. And to let us know that Carter played in band. Do I predict a musical? Back at the Bakers, Carrie goes to the kitchen to keep up her progress of ruining the night and trying to attach herself to Layla. And she lets Liv know that her and Layla's relationship is borderline toxic. Facts. And she says that Layla's friends let Layla become broken and let her fall into that place of darkness and being alone, which Liv denies, but Carrie says Layla got herself help. Because Liv was like, no, I helped her. And she was like, nah, Layla got herself help. Liv then said something stupid. She said Layla's her best friend and she loves Layla and Layla loves her and they just needed some time alone to figure it. And like, I just want to shake the screen. Like, why? Why y'all squeezing the life out of this? It's done already. You been there, scrape the pan, throw it away. Like, I definitely want to fast forward this, as here we are again with this Liv fighting for everything else except for her own well-being. And Carrie giving me Lifetime movie vibes. Like, bruh, like, somebody about to drive a car with no brake fluids tonight. Like, because Carrie looking all cray. She looking a little cray, y'all. Man. Jumping back over to Carter and Billy, Carter gets on the piano to show his skill, and Billy breaks out in song singing Temptations Ain't Too Proud to Beg as we give a montage of everyone hanging out. We got the girls driving and drinking. We got Spencer and Frosto just magically winning and being all brotherly like. And then once the song ends, Carter gets up and punches Billy. And finally will be like, man, you was right. I actually do feel better now. Back at Liv's, Layla finally apologized to Liv about oversharing their business. Then Liv continues to say stupid stuff by saying if anybody should be apologizing, it should be her. You know what? Yes. Yes, you do, Liv. Yes, you should apologize for that wig you got on this episode. Yeah, apologize for that. Secondly, you should be apologizing for making me go through this toxic fake relationship yet again. And for letting everyone talk to you and treat you however they want. In your house and outside your house. Anywho, Carrie comes in to say she is leaving as this is a part of her plan and leaves Layla and Liv to finally get some alone time together. Back with Spencer and the crew, it looks like Lady Luck was on their side as Spencer and Swollenness won back all the money they lost and finally broke even. But Jordan didn't want to stop there and he wanted to play a final day game for all the duckies. And Spencer agrees. Like, if I was Frost, I'd have been like, bro, half of that's my money. Don't be just volunteering my money. Like, But Spencer had other things in mind. He wanted to wager it all on a game of trust. Where you take a cup, I got a cup, you place it on your head, and your partner who you trust must throw a football, and knock it off your head from 10 feet away. To accomplish the win, Spencer gets into Asher's head, to get him to doubt Jordan's aim, and because of this, Asher ducks. Jordan throws a ball, and they lose. Back with Billy and Carter, Carter was like, bruh, not only did you date Grace, the girl I'm feeling now, you know what I'm saying? But you beat me to the white meat. and now you can sing? Like, that's too much to bear, so I had to let you hold this right, sir. Had to let you hold this right. I know he didn't say the first two with his words, but it resonated with his spirit. Y'all just had to hear it. Anywho, Billy suggests that Carter ask Grace out. So Carter tried to send her a poem, and since Billy's text game was fire, he was like, nah, let me help you out and go ahead and do it right. So he sends her the subtext instead. Denise and Laura had to school Grace as to what the subtext meant, as she act like she ain't never got one before. I'm like, Grace, stop it. And and they joke and laugh it out, as all of them needed a night out, and you can tell, just to let loose and make connections and just to let their hair down. And like I mentioned earlier, this was the connection that Denise was referring to. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Going back to Liv's, they are finally watching the movie Us and laughing about the movie and whatnot until Liv brings up them damn frozen cheap puffs again, which make Layla wonder about Carrie's well-being. And then, not stopping there, Liv starts meddling about Carrie. And Layla immediately gets on the defensive, and then she says a line that almost took me out. She said, Carrie is just a lonely person and needed a friend, and she came to me. I recall Liv handing you her sobriety pen and basically screaming for help, because she was alone. Yet you turned your back on her like Scar did Mufasa and Lion King. Then you didn't call her, nor did you go and see her. Simone had to tell you all that dumb stuff. But you sitting here trying to tell me that Liv is your supposedly best friend? Get them off my screen, please. Layla ends up leaving, and I couldn't be more happier, man. And while Layla and Liv's night crumbled, Spencer and Fausto had better luck. After winning, they seemed like maybe this time they will be good and not rehash this fake beef. And I'm like, cool, done. Chapter complete, let's end it. And then Carter and Billy, we jump back over there to them, and they still chumming up as they walk in the halls in Crenshaw. And before they part ways, Carter got the text from Grace that he'd been waiting for, and that man turned right into Urkel. I said, now why y'all have him high five Billy like that? He's like, come on, y'all got to be stopped. Like, don't do that to that man. Don't do that. But Carter wasn't the only one getting a late night text, as Billy got one as well. So a booty call was in his future. You know that? And I said, about time, sir. About time. Grace goes home drunk, and it was fun seeing Spencer play the parent as Grace tried to sneak into the house. Like, moments like this is why I started watching the show, because it felt real. And it was lighthearted. And I'm like, keep that up. Keep that up. Next, we jump back over to the Bakers as Jordan was catching up to Liv, and as Liv was probing yet again into another person's business. And Jordan said, like, you worry too much. And she's like, you ain't seen it. And he was like, yep, and it never gets through. And Liv says, nope, agreeing that it does it. And this is why you currently in a sunken place right now, because you don't listen. They end up going downstairs because they heard a loud noise, only to find Laura, who almost knocked over her lamp due to being drunk, amongst other things. And she makes some small talk with them before sending them to bed, and we all know why. Billy was hiding them curtains, and as soon as they was gone, he came out there to claim his good old nightcap. And the funny part is, that man sent Laura the poem that he stopped Carter from sending Grace. And Laura was feeling it too. And I died like, bruh. Like, bruh. But hey, whatever it takes, Billy, right? Whatever it takes. You did some easy bake oven meals, some stolen poems, hiding in the curtain, whatever. Do whatever to get your wife back. I'm with it. And the show ends there, and it ends on a good note. while the show ended, we still got some stuff to cover. We still got to go over the good, the bad, and the downright disrespectful. So let's start with the good. Denise. I love character development for her. I love it. And how it painted her in a different light. I'm glad they went that route with her instead of just making her this typical thirsty woman with nothing else to give. Like, the writers did good by her, and I loved it. Like, first it showed her with her daughter Nani, giving her that color. And showing that she put her daughter's needs before her own after evaluating everything and making sure her daughter was safe to allow her to play football. Then you find out that she even took her sister's kids and she doesn't want to bring any and everyone around them because her priorities are her kids. Like, bro, y'all did good by her. Thank you. Also, the girls hanging out, period, was good to see. Like, I like the whole thing, and I hope we get more moments of this. Like, they ain't just proud for the kids. Like, keep it up, keep it up. And Billy and Carter, like, I thought they made a good team. Like, they played off each other very well. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing them on the screen together again. Like, that to me was the best part of the episode. The bad. I wasn't really here for the Spencer and Fausto storyline. Like, it felt like been there, done that. Without a, like, splice of lemon. Like, unlike Denise, Fausto wasn't painted in a new light or given layers. He was basically a knockoff Spencer and nothing more. Like, I hope they do something more with him instead of the typical angry, low-income kid from the hood, but we shall see. The downright disrespectful. Y'all already know Liv, Layla, and their storyline. I get it. Everyone has went their separate ways, and they need to tie Layla to some storyline. Thus, she's being tethered to Liv to keep her character relevant for the time being, but that doesn't make it any good. It's redundant and wasted time. Now, I guarantee Liv is going to save Layla yet again, but this time from Carrie, Lifetime Movie Award, Daytime Thriller, A Day in Beverly, I Can't Breathe Without Air, Jordan Sparks Without Feature, I Kissed a Girl and I Like It, Crazy Behind. And I'm not here for it. Like, Liv stay trying to help everyone but herself. She stay letting people walk all over her. And now she putting out her past project of being a justice warrior. And I guess she went back to her old job and decided to do a sequel of Let's Save Layla Part 2 featuring Carrie. Layla has music, Coop, and her 5 heartbeat of a daddy. Send her back that way. And send Liv to rehab or the sunken place until she develops some act right. Because, deep breaths, I'm not here for it, man. I'm not here for it. But I digress. With that, this concludes my episode recap. I hope y'all enjoyed the review. I can't wait to hear y'all list and read y'all comments. Like always, if you had a great time, hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and share like you care, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, we out. Peace.